Hi there, my name is Michael Scott Forehand, and this is the next episode of the Financial Focus Podcast. So today's title is Why Smart Financial Planning Uses Different Dollars for Different Jobs. One of the biggest mistakes I see in financial planning, especially with successful professionals and business owners, is treating every dollar the same. Most people ask questions like, what's the best place to put my money? What's the best product? What gets the highest return? But those are usually the wrong questions. A better question would be, what job do I need this dollar to do? Because growth dollars, protection dollars, income dollars, and legacy dollars should not all live in the same place or follow the same rules. That's where strategies like participating whole life, single premium whole life, and indexed universal life often come into the conversation, not as competitors, but as different tools with different purpose. So let's start with participating whole life. At its core, it's about certainty and long-term efficiency. It's contractual, it's structured, it's built to last. For many people, participating whole life functions as a financial anchor. Predictable cash growth, long-term death benefit, and potential for dividends depending on carrier performance. Business owners and high-income earners often appreciate that because it behaves more like a balance sheet asset than a market position, it's really getting to the point where it's not really trying to win a race, it's just trying to finish strong. Not some of the time, every time. So there's another analog or corollary to that called a single premium whole life, which plays a very different role, and it's often about repositioning capital. So instead of slowly funding a policy over time, like participating whole life, it's about a single premium commonly used to have a placeholder for excess cash or a replacement for a low yielding asset. Or if you've got money sitting on the sidelines or sitting inefficiently on a balance sheet, it's a place where we can get permanent growth, contractual returns, and it's a known commodity, not to mention the death benefit associated with it. So in the case of a single premium program, the goal isn't liquidity tomorrow. It's about immediate leverage, estate efficiency, and long-term certainty. In the right situation, it can be a way to convert a pile of cash into a guaranteed death benefit, a tax-advantaged legacy, and it can be a simplified planning solution or part of one. Again, it's a different type of dollar doing a different job. Now let's talk about indexed universal life, or IULs. This is where flexibility and risk management often intersect. IULs are not designed to beat the market. They're designed to participate in upside potential while avoiding direct market losses based on however the policy is structured. This matters for people who still want growth potential but don't want to absorb full downside risk. People who want and value flexibility and premiums and access to capital. IULs are often discussed in the context of supplemental retirement income strategies, long-term tax efficiency, and adaptable planning for changing income over the years. The key word here is adaptable. Unlike rigid strategies, IULs can be designed to adjust as life and business evolves. When income fluctuates, when priorities shift, or when planning horizons change. The problem arises when people try to force one solution to do everything. In my experience, there is no one solution that fits everybody. There is no one piece of the things that can be done that's going to be right for everybody. An IUL is not right for everyone. Participating whole life is not right for everyone. Different financial strategies should incorporate some of these things, being a diversified portfolio. That's kind of what this is about. But speaking specifically of whole life, it's not supposed to be an aggressive growth strategy. IULs are not supposed to be a replacement to every conservative asset. Single premium strategies are not for short term needs. When people become disappointed, it's because the wrong tool was probably used. Or if it was the right tool, perhaps the expectations weren't aligned or weren't explained properly, or the purpose of the program doesn't really fit with the vehicle chosen or the tool chosen. Strong financial planning looks more like engineering than gambling. So when you build a foundation that doesn't crack, it's engineering. When you build components that flex when pressure is applied, it's engineering. And when you build systems that don't rely on perfect conditions to succeed, it's engineering. When you assign the right dollars to the right roles, your plan becomes more resilient. And really, it becomes boring. That's okay. Boring is often exactly what you want when the markets are unpredictable and life doesn't follow a straight line. So instead of asking, what's the best strategy? Let's ask, what does this dollar need to do? How long do I need it to do its purpose? And when you answer honestly, the strategy usually becomes clear. Financial planning works best when every dollar has a job description. Clarity beats complexity, and alignment beats performance chasing. So now, to expand on what we just talked about, our guest for today is Josh Stanfield with Pan American Life. Hi, Josh. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for letting me rope you into coming on this presentation. So, and I appreciate your time. So, for those of you that don't know Josh, explain to me or explain to us what your role is at Pan American and how you spend most of your time working with advisors and planners.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name is Josh Stanfield over here at Pan American Life. I am one of the four regional vice presidents here. And mostly what I do with agents and advisors and agencies, a lot of education, a lot of trainings, understanding our company, the products that we offer, the solutions that we offer, along with our recruiting, finding folks that can do business and find great relationships with Pan American, as Mr. Forehand here. But just a lot of time making sure the agents and the field force understand who we are, the products and solutions that we can provide to the clients.
So I've been hanging around with Pan American Life since I got into the industry, and I've been to a lot of their annual business meetings, which has been a blast. Getting to see, from my perspective, like behind the scenes look of what's going on and why it's being done. But a lot of people, especially those watching this podcast, are not going to have that ability or not going to have that invitation really to go to those events. So, if you could, in one sentence, describe the planning philosophy behind Pan American Life and the products that they offer.
When I think about this question, it's understanding the client and the need to provide the value of a specific product or solution. That's the best thing we can do from a carrier and an advisor perspective.
Right. And one of the things I know, having been to those events and those meetings, one of the things that was really that hit me about Pan American is that you guys are been around a long time and you've paid a dividend every year you've ever been in business, and that's important to me because that shows forethought in the financial plan for Pan America. You guys are a very stable company, been around a long time. You do business all over the Western Hemisphere, and it's pretty impressive. So let me switch gears for just a second. Let's talk about
Sure.
a big picture. So, today's environment, with the market, with the volatility that's out there, with uncertain tax issues. We don't know. If you ask anybody on the street, do they think taxes are going to go up or down? And nobody says they think they're going to go down. So,
Right.
given today's market uncertainty and tax concerns, what problems are clients most urgently trying to solve that you're running into, that you're hearing about?
Yeah, I think that's kind of two part. Obviously, the easy answer is like the what if. What happens
Right.
in the future? I don't know, and that's for all of us. We are trying to figure that out, but we're trying to solve is we use life insurance products as a piece of financial planning. The biggest thing is, am I protecting what I have? do I have enough, to make it through retirement with everything else that I have too? And with not knowing the what ifs, the biggest thing is making sure that the right product and what we're trying to focus on is in their hands.
Right. So I know you talk to a lot of people, and not just people here at Symmetry Financial Group, but other IMOs and other independent agents. What do you there's From what I see, there's been a significant renewed interest in permanent life programs. What are you seeing? Are you seeing that as well, or is it? What are your thoughts as far as is my perception correct?
Yeah, I feel like it's been like that for some time, especially when COVID hit the
Oh yeah,
world and the market and everything. No one knew what was going on. And it kind of, like you're saying, it's solidifying that whole life specifically and permanent life insurance is and should be the backbone of a great financial plan.
yep,
Guarantees that are contractually signed for by the carriers, and what the clients are seeing what they're getting, that is the concrete foundation of why we do what we do. And I think that having that, taking the what if away of, will my policy do XYZ? Well, it sure will. Look at this illustration, right?
right.
I think taking that peace of mind back into the client's hands gives them a lot of benefit.
So you just mentioned something that's critical to, especially when we talk about the planning side and the long term plans that we do. You mentioned permanent life insurance. So traditionally, whole life has been permanent life insurance, but there's another one out there, Index
Mm-hmm.
Universal Life, and you guys have a great
Correct.
product out there called Vista. So for people that are unfamiliar with the Vista Index Universal Life, how do you explain it to them in simple terms?
We when we came out with this product, it we made it as simplified as we could. We know that when you look at an IUL in today's market, um, there are 20 different indices that you could pick from,
Sure.
with caps and multipliers and
Oh, yeah.
participation rates, and you know it, and it's confusing, and it's 85 pages, and that's a lot to read from an agent's perspective and a client's perspective.
Right.
We tried to make it, and I think we did a great job of making it simple. I like to make a joke. We made it a whole life version of an IUL, because it is that simple. It is an index product. It's not whole life, but three indices, annual point to point, no bonuses or multipliers. Market goes up, client gets rewarded.
Right.
Market has a down year, zero's your hero, and that's it. Very simple.
One of the things I like about your Vista product is that the indexes that you have to choose from are easy to understand. They're easy to
Correct.
explain, and it's something that the average person can actually get their head wrapped around just by going and doing a 5 minute or even a 2 minute Google search, and you'll find out what the S&P index is. It's something that most people are familiar with. So I love that you
Yes.
really made it easy to understand and easy for us as broker underwriters to explain. So
Great.
what would you say is the most important thing advisors need to understand before positioning an IUL like Vista for their client?
So we want to make sure, especially for the IUL, to me, is proper funding.
Hmm.
You don't want to get into a situation where you know, have to back off of premiums or adjust premiums with death benefits. We have to remember IUL, the charges and the increase of that expense per policy goes up every year versus whole life, where it's consistent when you buy the contract.
Right.
And so a properly funded IUL is always going to be a great opportunity. But we don't want to make sure too that, depending on the need for what you're trying to do, when you properly fund that IUL and working with the client's perspective that way, we just want to make sure um, that it's the right fit, and that the
Right.
funding is going to be available.
Yeah, I think that's always a critical piece here. This is something we talked about in the very beginning, opening of this conversation, where we were talking about, or I was talking about, that each dollar needs to have a purpose, and the appropriate program or product needs to be aligned with the purpose of that dollar. So obviously, when you're talking about an IUL, You're not talking about putting money in the IUL today with the intention of taking a loan against it tomorrow, because it just doesn't
Right.
work that fast. Okay. So let's switch gears again. We talked a little bit about whole life a minute ago, and there's one of my favorite programs on the planet is your program called the Horizon Value Participating Whole Life. So if we're looking at whole life as a potential vehicle for all these different tools we can use it for, what do you think, or what do you know, was the philosophy behind creating the Horizon Value Participating Whole Life policy?
Yeah. So the Horizon Value product is our flagship cash accumulation whole life product. It is built for strong early guaranteed cash values with great long term potential.
Yep.
It satisfies both. And what I mean by that great accumulation is there's opportunities out there to build wealth and cash values inside these policies that you can use for yourself whenever you want. And in the long term capabilities, it could be used as another form of supplemental retirement
Yep.
that has tax, special tax opportunities provide instead of qualified plans, for example. So
Okay. So comparing this participating whole life option to an IUL, what do you think would be a pitfall, or what do you think would be a reason why you'd use one or the other as an advisor?
I think you would have to. I know I'm kind of coming back to this again. It depends. It really depends on the client. How much longevity and funding does the client want to do? How much maturity is there left in the contract? Which means how
Right.
old are they?
Right.
What is their risk potential?
Right.
And there's, like you say, we have an IO, we have whole life. They're both great products. There are strategies where we do both at the same time. So
Yep.
you can have solidified, concrete guarantees, and then you can have a little bit more risk reward, if you will. So both are great. Client situational, I think, is most important.
So if you had to choose a classification of client, what classification of client do you think would benefit the most out of a Horizon Value program? Or what scenario do you think would be the most beneficial for a client using a Horizon Value
Um,
program?
I mean, the perfect client, if we all could find it, would be some, 35 years old who could max fund it for 30 years and never touch it and let it grow compounding forever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Eighth wonder of the world. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
if you could have the perfect client, sure, why not? But like you say, you know, um, the best time, they say, oh, is my age, am I too old to get into this? The
Right.
best time you can get into a whole life policy is actually just getting into it and starting it.
Yep.
We can do it. This
Yep.
Horizon Value goes all the way up to age 75 with paid up additions all the way to 75. It's
Right.
never too late to get started. Obviously, earlier the better. Cost of insurance is down, longevity, maturity in the
Sure.
contract. Um, but just having that opportunity, I think,
I've
is a
been
great talking
trying,
point.
this is great. So I've been trying for years to come up with a reason why someone should wait to start a whole life policy. I have never been able to come up with a reason other than you can't get it right now because your health is too poor. Let's see in a couple of years if your health increases. Do you have any idea or any suggestion of why someone should wait to get a whole life policy?
Um, why they should wait if
Yeah, is
funds
there
are
any
available?
scenario you can
If
think of?
Yeah, if funds are available, no. If
Yeah.
there's limited funding and we have to buy term and we can convert it later, that's your ultimate solution. Get them insured now so we don't have to
Yep.
potentially do underwriting later. If
Ah.
funds are available, and we can really show and prove that value, Horizon Value, there's the plug there. It'll speak for itself, in reality.
Yep. And you just said that there's a good example. That is a good example, which would be, if you're needing DB now for
Right.
some familial purpose, mortgage protection, whatever, you could use the term. And then because the term comes with convertibility, ding ding, you could convert it
Correct.
into one of these programs. That would be a good use of why you're not doing the whole life. But it doesn't mean you're not doing the insurance. If you're
Correct.
healthy enough and you can afford it, you should be getting it.
Right.
Right? Okay. All right, let's talk about Horizon Legacy for a minute. This is hands down my favorite single premium program on the planet. So,
Okay.
how does what problem, from your perspective, what problem do you see Horizon Legacy single premium whole life solving that other programs or other products do not?
So I think there's two. One is the ability to 1035 into this. So maybe a client
Right.
has a policy that it's not performing how I wanted to. Things change. It is what it is. I want to take my values and move it one and done. I don't have to contribute any more premiums.
Yep.
Problem solved. The old, I'm done. There we go.
Right.
The other one is not necessarily it's a problem, but the opportunity to create the largest amount of tax-free legacy to heirs is
Yeah.
absolutely number one
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunity. It's my
I,
favorite concept to talk about.
and I've done both of those with your products. Thank you very much. And that's something that actually you guys taught me many years ago, and that's it's been a great tool for me in my practice, and it's helped a lot of our clients. So thank you very much, and thank you for all
Absolutely.
you guys do. So last couple of questions. Um, if you had to suggest to an advisor one takeaway, one planning insight from today's conversation, what would you suggest they took away from this?
Um, I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
Penn American Life, when you call us, you're going to get a human that's on the other line. And if you have any doubts of a product, a question, you name it, call and ask first. We want you to be educated when you go talk to these folks.
Yep.
If there's something that I'm just not 100%, we are more than willing to help you out. And the other one is just knowing and understanding your client. It's okay not to show up with an illustration on the first day.
Yeah.
If you can learn, see what they're trying to accomplish, their goals, their objectives, the funding, you name it. The first time you show them an illustration, it's going to make more sense to them because now you've had that conversation first. To get to know each other for a second, I think that can have a lot of benefit.
Okay. Um, just a couple more quick questions, then we'll get to the end.
Yeah,
What do you think is one mistake advisors make when they're using permanent life insurance?
it would be the selection of the perfect product.
Yep.
Maybe we're not choosing the right one depending on the need of the client. More of a are you death benefit or cash focus, or did you want IUL or term or whatever it may be. When we're picking the life product for the client need, let's make sure that we are obtaining the objective of the client to make sure that we have the proper solution.
Right. So, and that your answer to that question leads right into the next question. So, could you provide a scenario where either a whole life, like participating whole life, clearly beats the decision to use an IUL or vice versa?
Um, Man, that's tough because whole life obviously it's guaranteed. It's going to grow every year, day in and day out.
Right.
It really goes back to a client scenario of if I don't have a long maturity to fund appropriately, um, then you have to pick the product that is best for how much funding,
Right.
duration of funding. Are you looking for income or death benefit? Because there's a combination again, like we can use both. Um, if someone's 30 and they have a bunch of money and they can have a situation where they could weather a pitfall of an IUL moving up and down as the market moves. Well, an IUL, they're going to have plenty of time to, quote unquote, bounce back, right?
Right.
If you're 65, maybe you don't have that opportunity. So, the solidification of permanent whole life may ring a bell a little bit different. But it's all, again, client perspective, client scenario.
Right. So there certainly are scenarios where it doesn't make sense to do an IUL. And there certainly are scenarios where it doesn't make sense to do a par whole life. So, for example, just a quick example, if you've got somebody who's got the plan is a debt elimination plan, the IUL is probably not the right tool, especially if you've got a lot of smaller debts that you're trying to rapidly eliminate because the access to
Right,
the capital in the IUL doesn't come that quick. And if you're
right,
trying to develop a plan where you have a specific number of years at your goal, using an IUL for that purpose is difficult because you don't have any guarantee that the IUL is going to have growth all those years that you're planning out, which means having a 0 year for your IUL is going to throw your entire plan off. So it just depends, going back to what you said, it depends on what you're using the product for. All right. Last question. What's one word that best describes your approach to product design and planning, or your really Pan American's approach to product design and planning, if you have a thought?
Is that like into individuals or just in general?
So in
Creating a
general,
product.
I mean, I know Pan American from a business perspective, and I love what they stand for, and I love their thought process, which is really what I'm trying to get to. You guys design these products for specific reasons with something in the back of your mind. What do you think that is?
There's an old saying by an old CEO, Mr. Olson, that, we never wanted to be the biggest, but we wanted to be the best.
Yep.
And that comes from having products that fit all the needs for what a potential client could have. We have great whole life. We have great IUL. We have a great term product that has great conversions.
Yep.
In our whole life, we have cash value. We have death benefit products, and even a non-participating death benefit product that can really drive costs down. I think having a robust portfolio that can give you an opportunity when you meet with the client to say, I can fix your issue or help you with your financial plan in a certain way. I think that's why we have the options that we have.
Right. So what you're saying is you're the pitching wedge, you're the 2-iron, you're the driver, and you're the say 5-iron. You have all of them.
Utility. You got it.
Love that. All right. So, Josh, where can advisors go to learn more about Mutual Trust Life, Pan American Life, and these product strategies?
Yeah. So the regular website is palig.com, PALIG.com. Otherwise, if you're contracted with us already, or whether you're not, agent-uslife.palig.com. That's the agent portal. You can certainly go out there, or give us a call, 800-323-7320, option 1. We'll get you to the sales desk. Plenty of good folks out there to help you.
Love it. All right, last thing, this is for me to say. I'm going to do a quick plug also. So we have a publication, a book coming out, and we use a lot of Pan American Life programs as part of our modern practice of doing debt elimination and retirement planning and things like that. So Josh, from my heart of hearts, thank you to you, your staff, and all your colleagues for creating products that are really phenomenal and helping us do what we do. And if you're looking for that book, it's called Kingdom Banking, Legacy by Design. Just Google it. It's on Amazon, Kindle, download, or maybe come to one of our workshops and we'll show you how to use some of the tools that Josh spoke about today. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.